Okay, so let's just jump on down to technique then. Power through this thing. So, technique. What? It's good. What a nice album. Has a cool mood, but it's a bit inconsistent for me. Some of their best dance tracks are on here, I think, but I think there's also some duds as well. So going track by track, Fine Time. Ooh, it's so sexy, but it's not my favorite on the album though. I think it much like with previous albums, the opener again is just kind of like a what, huh? And there's a couple other tracks on here that are kind of similar to it, but again, it's just like comes out of the gate strong and weird and sexy and groovy, and then everything else is a bit different. All the way, I really dig that one. I like the tone and I like the guitar work. Love Less, which I like more. It's kind of a deep cut favorite for me. It's just a nice breezy track, and I like the kind of jangly production on it. Round and Round, it's a nice track, catchy chorus. I think it's just okay though. Guilty Partner, also nice, a bit kind of understated. It's not really a standout for me. Run, I really love this one. I think it has a great outro. I don't know if it was intentional, but the freaking John Denver similarity just like really caught me off guard the first several times I listened to the track. But now I since I've heard this way more than I've heard the John Denver song, this feels a little bit more like slotted into the center of my head. Mr. Disco, it's decent, but kind of like Guilty Partner, it's just a bit kind of understated and flies under the radar. Vanishing Point, I think, is a stellar synth track. I love the instrumental and the vocal melody. And then Dream Attack starts nice and warm, ends kind of for me. It just kind of loses steam, I think. People will probably disagree with that, and I can see why. It's still a good track, though. But yeah, it's... I don't know quite where I would rank this thing, but it's kind of like with Low Life, where I feel like it's most of the tracks are good. It just doesn't quite pull together into anything cohesive for me, but I think it pulls together more so than Low Life does. So, Twig, I know you dig technique to a degree. What do you think?
Um, so yes, from when I was first getting into music when I was like around 6, 7 years old, um, this was my favorite album of all time, and I'm ashamed that I thought that nowadays, but I think that I think I like Brotherhood more than this. Brotherhood is my favorite 80s New Order album.
Oh,
I'm with you, Alex.
cool.
I think that the highs on that album are stellar. It's just a bit inconsistent. I would say that this album is inconsistent too. Less inconsistent. I think that, but still think it is, but and lower highs.
Mm.
So I'll just post my track ratings now. So yeah, I should have done this from the beginning, but as so Fine Time. I mean, if I mean, I really like the more acid house elements of this,
Right.
and um, it's just it's corny, but in a good way. When I want corny, I don't want bad stuff that sounds wrong together. I want stuff that has like a deep voice that and it's just hilarious to listen to with all the samples too. But I don't know, it's really fun. And then All the Way in Loveless, I get these two tracks confused all the time since they sound exactly
They
alike.
do sound very
Um,
similar.
and then Round and Round has one of the stupidest music videos ever.
I
Um,
haven't seen it.
but I think it's fine. Definitely overrated again. And then what is the next? Guilty Partner again sounds exactly like All the Way in Loveless. And then Run, I prefer Run version 2 just because it's shorter. I don't care for this track. I just want it to end. And then Mr. Disco is my favorite off here. It's Fine Time, but better, in
Mm.
my opinion.
Mm.
Um, and then Vanishing Point is another really overrated track. Um, but I think that some of the elements on it are really nice. I really again, I say that like the beat is the best here. Like but I think that it never really forms into like a coherent song. It just sort of like plays out. Um, then Dream Attack is another one of those just samey guitar tracks, like All the Way Loveless, Guilty
Mm.
Partner. So yeah, that's that. And then for just commenting on the singles around this, I'll include the '88 version of Blue Monday because I think that this improves on the original Blue Monday definitely. And then there's Run 2, which I like more just because it's shorter. I don't have to be with it longer. Still not that good, but at least it's shorter. And then World in Motion, which dun, 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 it's my favorite New Order song of all time.
Is it?
Yeah,
I don't even. World in Motion. Do I know what this is?
it was the soundtrack to um what is it? It to like a football tournament in the UK. It's
Did I
really
listen to
fun.
this?
No, probably not since it's from '80.
Okay. World in
Hold on, I'll
Motion.
pull it up real quick.
Oh, I think I may have like watched this on my own or listened to this on my own at some point, but I do not remember it at all.
Um, it actually has a really fun rap section, which is really cool. It has it. I mean, this is a flawless song, really. Um, so overall, it has the best New Order cover easily.
I do like the cover a
Um,
lot.
Proto Vaporwave in a way, and then yeah, um, I don't really have anything else to say. And oh yeah, there's also there's a Round and Round remix, um, that's like 7 minutes that you should check that out real soon. It's really cool.
Okay, very nice. Christian, Technique.
Okay, so I'm gonna first talk about the singles around this album. So Blue Monday '88, it's a pretty solid remix in my opinion. It's definitely not as good as the original. I don't think you can remix Blue Monday in a way that it'll sound better than the original because the first mix of Blue Monday, that's just timeless in my opinion, but it's pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, the next single that I wanted to talk about was Run 2. I actually hate Run 2. I don't like it at all. It's not as good as the album version, in my opinion. And World in Motion, which I actually agree with Twig. It's a really good song, but it's not one of my favorite New Order tracks. It's really good. I
You
like
have it
the
at a
rap part.
10,
I do because I really like it.
but I mean, your rating scale might be more positive than mine, but you're saying like it's not one of your ultimate favorites, but you have it at 10. Like that
It's
seems like different to me.
because I have a lot of favorite New Order tracks. Like most of their singles from 81 to 90 are really good in my opinion. So anyway, the tracks on this album, this is a pretty inconsistent album in my opinion. Fine Time, the first track, really good track. I love the acid house influence on this, and it's a really funky track, really interesting, really different from what they've done. All the Way and Loveless, I really can't remember them because they're just very similar to um, Brotherhood alternative songs, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Round and Round is another great song, like Fine Time, and I actually do think I have the remix on vinyl that Twig was talking about,
Oh, nice.
which is a good remix album with another cool bonus track. And Guilty Partner, that's a bit better than the other alternative songs here, but it's still not very memorable in my opinion. Run is the album version is pretty good. I like that version because it's like the only good alternative one on here. The memorable one here is Run. And I think you said that it did sound like John Denver. I'm pretty sure John Denver did sue New Order because
Yeah,
it sounded so similar.
yeah, they had to put him on the writing credit for it.
Yeah. And Mr. Disco, it's the weakest out of the dance songs here, in my opinion. It is memorable, but it's, I don't know, there's just something about it I don't like.
Hmm.
Vanishing Point, my favorite here. It's has like a nice long intro with a piano that really works well on this actually, and I didn't expect New Order to be making music like this when I first started listening to them. So it was surprising. And Dream Attack is a really nice like rock dance hybrid that I really enjoy a lot.
See,
So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Vanishing Point is the bizarre love triangle of this album, and that's why Twig doesn't like it.
I agree with you. That Vanishing Point is pretty good.
I mean, like, it doesn't sound the same, but like the principles,
No.
the principles of why people like it are very similar to why people like Bizarre Love Triangle, and I think that's just part of the reason there. So,
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite here.
cool.
Vanishing Point.
All right, Ian, you're here. Do you want to talk at all? Here, we'll just skip to Mento for now.
Technique, my second favorite New Order album. I
Oh,
really, really love this album. For one, I love the album cover. It's like proto vaporwave. Although vaporwave is very inspired by '80s aesthetic. So I don't know how proto vaporwave it is really, but yeah, great cover. The music, definitely going in that alternative dance, acid house direction, which was very popular in especially Manchester in '89. You know, this era of like 808 State, Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, the whole Manchester thing. So that whole acid house sort of sound is very in.
mm-hmm.
But I definitely think New Order put a very different spin on it than those groups did. For one, they don't really have much of a rock influence on this. I mean, it's there because New Order is still very much a rock group, but I don't hear it as much. I don't hear like as much of an influence from that as I did early on. I really Fine Time is a great song. Not one of my favorites on here, but still a great way to open the album. I love Round and Round a lot. Like that's like one of my favorite New Order songs. Like the sort of synth sounds, the drums come in like I don't know, just really fantastic song. I really love side 2 of this. Side 2 is like one of my favorite sides ever. I don't really know how to describe my love for this album because it's not like I listen to like certain songs in here. It's like I feel like different people said what their favorite New Order like cohesive album is.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely it for me. Even though Power, Corruption, and Lies is my favorite New Order album, I feel like this one is more cohesive as an album experience. And it's definitely the one I appreciate for that aspect the most.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, great album. Not necessarily like a ton to say, like that I didn't already say about their other albums, even though this is different, but great album.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool. Raspberry, what do you think of Technique?
I'm just gonna agree with Minto on this one. It's really good. It's great. I actually haven't listened to it that much, but I remember enjoying it a little bit. I don't really remember. I like Fine Time. I come back to that a lot. And I do enjoy Dream Attack, but I agree with it being kind of not as well structured as their other albums. And the sound, it kind of gets samey, especially on side A. Starts to blend in really, really too much with the 80s aspect. And it kind of just sounds like disco pop at that point. But I think it's still great.
Cool. Sponge, anything to say about Technique?
This is like by far my fourth favorite. It's really fun. I put it on quite a lot. It's something I come back to a lot. It's quite just you listen to it when you want to have, because it's just kind of, yeah, it's a great cover. You kind of just listen to it and you just kind of have fun. It's a nice album.
Yeah.
Just something you hear at like karaoke disc or something. It's just nice. I don't know. Alright, there's nothing really else.
Do you have any favorite tracks?
Probably Fine Time, Vanishing Point. That was pretty good.
Very nice. Boss, you said this was the last one that you heard.
This was the last one I heard. I also, Twig, I listened to that remix you sent, and it was very Twig-esque, I guess, and also sort of hinted at the elements that would be on Technique. I'm also just listening to was listening to Blue Monday. I kind of had the realization that I've maybe never heard Blue Monday before, or maybe only heard it once. Sorry if that's blasphemy. I don't know where I would have heard it before, but I'm just kind of listening to it, and I was like, this doesn't seem as familiar as I thought it would be. Anyway, on to the actual album. Unlike probably most of the people here, I don't really like this cover. I like the background. I like the background, like pink and purple. I do not like the statue that's been like I don't even know what the word for it would be.
It's like that.
I was gonna say oxidized. I think that's the word when you expose like bronze or whatever to oxygen or air for a while.
There's also,
but it's more of just like uniquely colored.
Like, was it called patina? Like what happened with the Statue of Liberty? Like it was like copper or whatever, and it just like has a patina now that it makes it look green.
It's very weird, and I mean, I don't really like it. It doesn't look that appealing to my eyes. Also, this is probably like my second favorite. Come to think of it, this might be my second or third favorite New Order album. I've listened to a lot of these tracks more than I listen to stuff even on like Low Life or obviously like Brotherhood or Movement. I don't know, it's extremely consistent. I love obviously all the dance elements on it. It's just great. It's like a complete left turn for New Order, and I like that. I will have to. Most New Order albums kind of at least change something. I never really made the same album twice, at least from the stuff that I heard. But yeah, I would totally even recommend this album. Even from like from an outsider's perspective, I would say just listen to Power, Corruption, Lies, Low Life, and Technique, and you'd have a swell time. But yeah, I don't know. I like Fine Time, Guilty Partner, Mr. Disco, All the Way, Vanishing Point. All those are great tracks. I'd probably say that Mr. Disco or Vanishing Point or Fine Time is probably my favorite. One of those is probably my favorite. But yeah, it's great. And it's consistent.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to finish off with Substance real quick here. Anyone who wants to split can, but we'll...
Yeah, since I haven't heard Substance or any of the comps or anything
I'm sure
after,
you've heard songs off of Substance.
I think I might have like listened to someone, but I can't remember it. I don't think I gave it a rating on Reader Music.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna still be here, but I'm not gonna. I don't have anything to say.
Okay, fair enough. Cool.
So.
All right, so finishing off with Substance, and then whatever Twig wants to talk about as well. 1987, I believe, compilation of singles. Very mixed bag for me. The second disc is pretty freaking weak in my opinion. There's not much on it I like, but there's a lot of good singles and like alternative mixes on the first disc. So just going track by track here, real quick. Ceremony, I think it's a solid new wave post-punk track. It's a bit too weird of it's between upbeat and dour, and I don't quite know. I think there's other tracks from like the late Joy Division movement era that I think achieve this better. Even something like was it Dreams Never End, or however you say it, the first track off Movement, I think achieves that better. Whereas Ceremony, I don't know, it feels more dour than upbeat, and those two things kind of clash a little bit, but I do enjoy the song every time I listen to it. It's just a little off kilter for me in that way. Everything's Gone Green. I think Twig said he liked this, but for me it's kind of boring and just a bit long. Temptation, what a bop. Just a great kind of new wave post-punk tinge track. Really like it. There's elements of different mixes that I like more than others, and I kind of wish it's one of those tracks where I wish I could just like meld all my favorite parts of different mixes in together. Blue Monday, classic track. What else can be said? We've already talked about it plenty. Confusion. I think this is one of the ones that I need to listen to the proper version of. This one was kind of weak, but not terrible. I'm willing to give it another chance with a different mix. Thieves Like Us. Nice track, chill mood, has some new wave quirks. I dig it. Perfect Kiss. It's the best edit of the Perfect Kiss on here. Subculture. I mean, I'm not really sure how I feel about it, because like there are elements that I like, and then other things come in and I'm like, oh gosh. Shell Shock, the John Robbie mix or whatever. There are things I dig about this track, and I don't think I've heard the versions that are supposed to be good, so I'll withhold judgment or whatever. State of the Nation, it's not a bad track. Maybe it's a bit long, but I do enjoy it to a degree, but it's not a favorite. The Bizarre Love Triangle extended dance mix, there are elements of this mix that I like, especially the intro and the synth edition, but it lacks a lot of what made the original track so good, I think. And then True Faith, I kind of have mixed feelings on this track because it played at work all the time, and so I heard it a lot before I even knew it was New Order, so I had kind of like a predisposition to it that wasn't positive. But I do think it's a solid synth pop track, and deserves praise. And then quickly going through the second disc, In a Lonely Place, some cool elements, but it just feels like a Joy Division track kind of risen from the grave with some New Order flair. Procession, it's all right, but it doesn't really amount to much beyond the sum of its parts for me. Cries and Whispers is Hurt just feels like a song made out of recycled New Order components. The Beach, not a lot to say about it. We kind of all know about this. It's an interesting, different, I think it's an instrumental mix of Blue Monday. I could be wrong, but it's fine. I'm not really going to comment on the instrumentals here because there's a Confusion and Thieves Like Us instrumental that are kind of redundant to talk about. Lonesome Tonight, nice track from the PCL era, similar motifs to Leave Me Alone. Compositionally, I dig this one. Murder, a weird track, feels sort of like gothic and almost punky to a degree. It's kind of interesting, don't love it though. Kiss of Death, I think, is an inferior mix of The Perfect Kiss. Shame of the Nation, I think, is also kind of a lame mix of State of the Nation. 1963, I think, is a pretty good track. I like the synth and mood of the instrumental. So, I mean, obviously I like the first disc way more. Some nice edits and longer mixes of things. But with all compilations, it's always a mixed bag. But I do like a good handful of the singles here. So, Twig, anything you want to say about Substance at all? You can also throw in anything you want to say about other things as well.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of just bonus things that I'll touch on really quickly.
Okay.
So first off, just regular Substance. I'm not with you, Alex. I think the second disc is better.
Oh.
Procession, I really like. Hurt, I really no, not Hurt. Mesh, I really like. Beach, I preferred to Blue Monday. And I think that I just think that the B-sides sort of are more interesting. And as I said, a lot of these A-sides I'm not a fan of. I mean, I obviously really like Confusion, Shell Shock, not this version. I hate State of the Nation. And then, if I want to listen to 80s New Order, I'm not going to listen to this comp. I think that it's missing a lot of, even though it's just singles, I think that it could be improved. I
Mhm.
think. So yeah, there's that, and then the best. Well, no, here's another compilation, which I think improves on Substance because it goes into more later things up to Waiting for the Siren's Call era, which is singles. This one's much better. Um, Even though it doesn't have the B-sides, I think that the tracks that come around later make it way more worthwhile for me. And then you get this one. I don't know if anyone has heard of this one, but it has a lot of dance remixes because it's separated into 3 sections. It has Pop, which is a ton of singles. Disc 2 is Fan, which is a lot of fan favorites that weren't singles. And there's this disc, the third disc, which is Club, which is a ton of really awesome dance mixes and live versions. And then there's disc 4, which is just a ton of live material. So this is my second favorite New Order compilation. It's really an interesting album.
And it's a compilation called Retro from 2003. Looks like.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I also want to talk about then Total, from Joy Division to New Order. This has luckily some more later New Order tracks, which is nice. And I think that the Joy Division selection, I mean, it's the correct tracks, even if I'm not a fan of it. I think that this is a good selection of tracks that they chose. And I'm glad that they chose the Chef Peterbone, or however you say it, version of Bizarre Love Triangle, because it definitely improves. And then we have the best of and the rest of New Order. Best of is just another best of. I won't talk about that. And then the rest of New Order is a second disc, which is the best New Order comp of all time. A way more dance heavy in the 90s. This is 95. It's a lot of trance material, and there's also some more like techno and harder house tunes. And then the Peel sessions, all the versions here are improvements than the ones that are on albums. 81 to 82. Again, these are all like some of the better songs from this era. And then there's just one more that I want to talk about. Yeah, and then along with Music Complete, they released a ton of remixes that are compiled into just one Music Complete remix EP, which includes remixes from Restless, Tutti Frutti, The Game, Singularity, and People on the Highline. And these are all fantastic. Some of them even improve on the Music Complete versions. And then, well, I'll save Complete Music when we talk about Music Complete later.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that their comps are a really key to the band as a whole. And I definitely say that, well, I'd say that Retro's the best, like Substance best one. Everyone should give this a listen. And then the rest of New Order. Oh, and this one. The rest of New Order, and then this one contains the best remixes.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you, sir. Okay. Christian, you have anything to say about Substance real quick?
Yeah, I do, because I didn't talk about many of the singles. So I'll just start off with Ceremony, which was written by Ian Curtis. Pretty good song. I really like it. It's kind of like a lighter track than Joy Division, maybe trying to show that it shows that they're moving on from the darkness, but they still have that post-punk edge to them.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's Gone Green, track 2. It's really influential on their future, and it's often overlooked by a lot of people as being like not as good or being a worse version than Blue Monday, when really it's actually a great song and very influential. And I really don't think that Blue Monday would exist if they hadn't made Everything's Gone Green in the first place. So, and then next is Temptation. This is probably my favorite version of Temptation, actually, the 87 version. It's a great version. It's a great song. Has a great music video to it. I love that it's more uplifting, and it's kind of their first really uplifting song. Blue Monday, classic song. There's not much that needs to be said about it. It's a really great single, really great dance song.
Mhm.
Confusion is kind of New Order's first misstep when it comes to singles, because it's definitely more an inferior version than Blue Monday, but the version on here is actually the best version of Confusion, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Thieves Like Us is another really solid song. I prefer the 7-inch version, which is shorter. This one seems to go on a little bit too long, but it's very beautiful, very like, I don't know, it's a really beautiful song.
I haven't heard the
The Perfect
7-inch. I'll
Kiss.
have to check it out.
Yeah, it's just a shorter version of Thieves Like Us.
Cool.
And The Perfect Kiss this version is probably, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I like the album version better than this one. This one just feels like, it's still great. It just feels like a lot more long-winded. I like that it's shorter on the album. I'm not really a big fan of very long tracks, so I like this one better. Subculture, this remix of Subculture is probably one of the worst things that New Order ever did, in my opinion. I don't know why they decided to do this, why they said that, oh, this was great. I don't understand why they did it like that. But anyway, Shell Shock, pretty good too. State of the Nation, pretty good. Bizarre Love Triangle, pretty good. True Faith, really excellent. And I'm not really going to touch on disc 2. So that's just my thoughts on disc 1.
Cool. Very nice. Minto, Substance.
All right. I love Substance. I said in the Joy Division discussion that I preferred this Substance to the Joy Division one, and that's still true. The reason I prefer this one, not that this is like a perfect masterpiece or anything, it's a compilation.
Yeah.
And disc 2 is pretty spotty, but I prefer it because, for one, it feels more cohesive than the Joy Division one. Not that it's super cohesive, obviously these are songs from different eras, but also that I feel like even the second disc, even though I don't care for some of the remixes and stuff, it's still interesting to listen to. Like, I'm still fascinated at their existence. Whereas a lot of like the bonus stuff that Joy Division had, it's just I don't care.
Sure.
Like, it's not good and I don't care. Whereas this one, it's like, yeah, it's not good, but I'm interested in it.
Yeah. I feel you.
Ceremony. There are different versions of Ceremony. The original version that was recorded, and I'm not talking about the Joy Division one, because there really isn't a Joy Division one. It's like a rehearsal, and the audio on that one is terrible.
Yeah.
So it's not even really worth discussing. But the first one, the New Order versions I'm talking about, there's the original one recorded in 81, and then I think they re-recorded it in 82, or some other version. I know the re-recorded version does end up on Substance. Well, I prefer the original 81 version. One of my favorite songs.
I'll have to check that out. I haven't heard that, I don't think.
One of my favorite songs ever, Ceremony. I do think, though, if Joy Division got to record it, it might be my favorite Joy Division song.
Fun fact, I actually discovered New Order through seeing Radiohead's cover of Ceremony on that live stream they did.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's not how I discovered New Order, but yeah, that's a great cover. And they covered Headmaster Ritual.
Also how I learned of the Smiths.
Yeah, great covers by Radiohead. But yeah, Ceremony, excellent song. One of my favorites ever. Everything's Gone Green. I really like it. It's not one of my favorites, although Tony Wilson said in an interview that he thinks Everything's Gone Green is perhaps an even more important song for the development of electronic music than Blue Monday.
That's kind of crazy.
And yeah, I do definitely see that. It's a very important song. Another reason why I think New Order were such a groundbreaking group. although it's not a particular favorite of mine. Temptation is excellent, like one of my favorite New Order songs. Again, two versions. There's the original from '82, and there's a re-recorded version, I think, done for Substance. I know a lot of people prefer the re-recorded version. I prefer the original '82 version, though.
I'll be honest. I
don't know.
cannot remember which mix is which. I know that there's ones I prefer, but I have no idea which ones they are.
I'll probably post it when I get the chance to link it. Right now, I'm trying to focus on my thoughts on the tracks.
Oh,
But,
you're good. You're good.
Temptation is excellent. I don't know how hot of a take this is, but in terms of like the two, like in terms of the development of like their more electronic synth pop sound, I prefer this song to Blue Monday.
I agree.
I love Blue Monday, which is the next track. Actually, I think it's a fantastic song. I just don't think it's like the best of the best that New Order ever did. Like, I wouldn't call it overrated, not just because I hate the term overrated, but I don't think this song is overrated. I think it's a fantastic song, but it's not my very favorite New Order track, and I prefer Temptation. It's more fun. I love the chorus, up, down, turn around. Like, I can get that stuck in my head for hours. I love it. Very, very fun track. I already said Blue Monday. It's excellent. Yeah. Confusion, I really like. I really like Confusion. It's not like one of their best songs or anything, but I think it's a really fun song. Thieves Like Us is beautiful. Very, very beautiful song. I don't know which version I prefer of it, but I do know that no matter what, I think it's a very beautiful instrumental, and those synths. Like I said, with Power, Corruption, and Lies, how beautiful the production on that album is, and this definitely elevates. It's just definitely on the same par. You know, I think it was recorded a little bit after Power, Corruption, and Lies came out, so it's still very much of that era, and the production is still, once again, beautiful as hell. I already said I prefer this version of Perfect Kiss. Shell Shock. Oh, I haven't heard this version of Subculture. I might have since I heard Substance, but I don't remember it. You guys keep on saying it's awful, so I'm gonna take your word for it. And Shell Shock, which I believe was a single. Yeah, it's a good song. It's very fun. It's a very 80s sounding song, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good song, though. I like it. State of the Nation, not one of my favorites per se, but I still like it. This version of Bizarre Love Triangle I really, really like, although I definitely prefer the Brotherhood version. It's more punchier, it's more to the point. But Bizarre Love Triangle, this version I really like as well. True Faith, I don't know how hot of a take this is, but I prefer True Faith to Bizarre Love Triangle.
Ooh.
Although, once again, I love Bizarre Love Triangle. But, like, in terms of that era, like, where they're making really, like, 80s synth pop stuff, like, there's a difference to way the electronics from, like, Temptation Blue Monday to the electronics of Bizarre Love Triangle and True Faith, I feel. And of this era, I definitely, I prefer True Faith. Although, once again, I love Bizarre Love Triangle as well. In a Lonely Place, it's cool. A lot of the early, like, Movement era B-sides, like, they're cool. They're not really all that great, though. But they're fine for what they are. The Beach, I don't get the point of The Beach. I mean, I get, it's actually one of the least interesting, like, remixes that they've done. Like, I feel like every other remix, even if they're worse, I feel like they're more interesting to listen to and more interesting that they exist than this one. Lonesome Tonight, I actually really like that song. The guitar on it, I think, is beautiful.
It's great.
It's not one of my very favorite New Order songs, but I really love that song. Why Does Murder Exist? I mean, I'm fascinated by it, but, like, why? That's all I'm gonna say on that.
I agree.
Shame of the Nation, again, it's fascinating, but, like, Is it good? Do we need this in our lives?
Probably not.
And then you get 1963, which is one of my favorite New Order songs. I don't know how many people have that opinion, but like when I first heard that song, and like it has sort of the same thing as like Bizarre Love Triangle. It actually kind of reminds me of Bizarre Love Triangle in a lot of ways. I don't prefer it to Bizarre Love Triangle, but I absolutely love 1963. Beautiful, beautiful song. The whole Johnny, don't throw that gun at me. The whole lyrics of that I think are really interesting. I really love the way Bernard sings it. Like you can hear the sort of fear in his voice. I like it a lot. Substance, I think, overall, is one of the most necessary compilations, dare I say, in music history. Like, because New Order is such an essential band and such an important band. And I feel like this shows everything great about them. Also, everything bad about them, too. But in short, everything interesting and fascinating about New Order. Because I feel like even the stuff that's not good on here, like, it's still worth a listen because it's interesting.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Cool. Thank you. All right, Raspberry, anything to say on Substance?
I'm actually gonna just agree with Minto here. If it is the best way to sum up the 80s of the era of New Order from the 80s. It really does show like their highlights, like Blue Monday, Ceremony, Temptation, and their not so good parts, such as Murder and Shame of the Nation, which is like really awful, and the remix of Subculture. But overall, it's a great compilation, and yeah, it is pretty important.
Cool. All right. And finally, Sponge, anything to say on Substance at all?
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't like the flow. I think it could. The songs could be structured.
Your mic is cutting in and out a bunch. I don't know if it's like your
it?
sensitivity or whatever, but yeah, it keeps cutting out.
Yeah. Second off, flow for the whole of the.
Oh, it's still doing it.
For fuck's sake! Oh, you know, you can just leave me. You can just leave me.
If you're sure. If you're sure.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sponge, for that very, very deep analysis of Substance. But yeah, that's where we're leaving it for this time. We'll do part 2 of this discussion at some point in the future. We'll cover Republic up through Music Complete.
Will the discussion be in a few months?
I hope not. I hope
then I can listen to the rest of New Order's discography, though.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, like knowing me, it could be like 3 years from now, but we'll try to do it sooner than it took between Joy Division and New Order. We'll say that much. But yeah, thank you, gentlemen. This was quite nice, sitting here talking about New Order for 2.5 hours. I hope everyone else enjoyed it. And that was part 1 of our New Order discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 2, which will hopefully happen soon. And until next time, Godspeed.